So this week on Staffing Buzz with Brooke, we're chatting about tech and post-COVID demand fluctuations. I've invited one of our clients, Headway Workforce Solutions, to chat about this, especially because hospitality and events and light industrial, those sectors of staffing have definitely been hit differently. And so I thought it would be a great idea to chat about what that was like and how people are dealing with it. So Layla is a recruitment marketing manager and Doug is the senior director of core operations. I'm going to let you guys take it away and kickstart us. So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Headway? Like, what kind of staffing do you guys do?
Hi, Brooke. I'll take this one. I'm so happy to be here with you. So Headway, really, we are a nationwide staffing and workforce solutions company. We operate in all 50 states. And some of our specialties are in the research, retail, events, as you mentioned, and hospitality sectors. So typically we staff around 15 to 20,000 employees across the country in any given year. And then another special, Headway sector is our employer of record services.
Very
so lots
cool.
of different things.
Yes, you guys got your hands in a lot of different parts. A lot of different staffing verticals have encountered different challenges in the last 2 years. There's no denying that. So what has it been like staffing in events and hospitality, and two of the segments are hardest hit by the pandemic?
Yeah, that was, it impacted us greatly, I would say. As most staffing companies will tell you, it's been quite challenging to say the least. Hospitality and event venues, you think about it, they're contingent around the gathering of people in one place, right? So with the country shut down due to the pandemic, this in turn shut down these venue operations across these verticals specifically. And it's been a relatively slow ramp up, during the reopening of the event venues, the sports arenas, university dining facilities, and the other spaces that we service. As things slowly began opening back up, even at a minimum or reduced capacity, finding employees became the next challenge at our doorstep. We're contending with the additional federal EIP funds, being individuals out of work due to the pandemic, as well as just the overall concern about returning to the workforce with COVID still looming large across the country. It was difficult to find staff that were willing to return to these types of venues where they may be exposed to large populations of people who may or may not be vaccinated. Then we were contending with vaccine mandates across different areas and different venues alike. So that was something we contended with as well. So there's been no shortage of roadblocks along the way.
It's been like the Wild West, and like you guys are in the US, but to shed some light, like some color on what it's been like in Canada, like it's just been crazy with all the ups and downs. 1 minute we're open, 1 minute we're closed, then we're at a certain capacity, and it's like you could go one week doing something completely different, and the next week all of a sudden hard stop. So I give it to you guys. I have some empathy in what it's like to trying to like maneuver those challenges and kind of go with the flow. So what do you see the long-term effects being on this kind of work and staffing into those segments?
So I know you guys just kind of touch on, the struggles that we had. I would hope and think that for the most part, the worst is over now as far as the closures or just kind of the whiplash back and forth between knowing what's going on. That now that we're seeing more businesses kind of open back up and just everything operating back to pre-pandemic, times. I think the biggest challenge continues to be how do we attract the right candidates to the specific, to the events and hospitality and the different sectors. We definitely had to get very creative with our sourcing strategies and, our recruitment marketing and the different efforts on how we, were able to capture candidates to come and now fill all the jobs that all of a sudden open back up. And, now we're kind of short staffed. So, I'd love to think that the worst is over now. Now we just kind of move forward. Something that I'm really looking forward to continue doing is really getting back to the community. I think, the more that we kind of get out there and really have that hand-on-hand relationship with people and meeting candidates. I think that's, that's a good way for us to kind of, get past through this and also attract the candidates that we need for the hospitality and the events while they're out there. So, that's my rose-colored glasses for the future here in 2022. I do feel that, by end of this year, hopefully we'll be operating back to normal in those sectors.
For sure. Were there any major changes to the processes that you guys made to help with these fluctuations in demand during COVID?
So, one thing we really pivoted to was our employer record services. So if you're not super familiar with that, what we do is essentially Headway employs the employees of another organization. So what that means is that we manage a lot of the back end operations that they may have that they may not necessarily have the internal infrastructure to handle, such as payrolling, benefiting, really handling the liability of employees, onboarding, all those different types of support that we basically manage for any size business, but really medium size, the small to medium sized businesses that don't necessarily have that infrastructure really benefit from our services. And that was one way that we were able to still provide support to those businesses where we weren't necessarily maybe doing the staffing, but they had staff, or they were able to kind of onboard or bring the people that they wanted to bring and continue to support their business, but we would manage their back end operations.
Cool. So just basically rolling with the punches.
Yep.
What about changes to your tech?
This one was definitely challenging as well. We absolutely had changes in tech. There was a period during the pandemic where we weren't even able to use time clocks to, track time entries and clock ins and clock out. So, Doug, I don't know if you want to elaborate a little bit on that, but, so these different things that we basically, it's like something that you wouldn't even think of that you had to learn to manage or find additional support for. Really kind of sets us off in a path to find a better way to continue serving our employees and our clients, which is, I guess, one of the ways that we ended up here with you.
Happy to be here. How do you see tech like staffing platforms helping with unpredictable or changing demand?
Yeah, just kind of, piggyback on that previous answer there, but everything's mobile and fluid nowadays, so we need to be able to adapt and communicate changes quickly with our staff. So I think it's going to be one of the things that we look forward to the most using Time Save is having that quick instant communication between our internal staff with our field staff,
and even with your clients too.
Correct. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So being former ShiftGig customers, you were early adopters of this kind of technology. What went into this decision back then?
Well, I think from the grand scheme of things, in order to be successful as a staffing partner in the hospitality and events industry specifically, it's critical to have technology platforms in place that make the employment process simple and streamlined for your gig workforce, your seasonal workforce, and even the full-time staff that you have out in the field. We found that out pretty early on, I'd say, in the process while we launched Headway into these spaces specifically. That's why we were intrigued by ShiftGig. It provided the solution we needed at the time to step into these verticals the right way, I think, because employees need to buy in to utilizing technology that's convenient and easy for them to have access to. If they have to jump through too many hoops to manage their work schedules or their timekeeping, they'll simply find somewhere else to go find work.
Yeah, if it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good, they're not going to use it.
Exactly.
Has anything changed since then about the way you view these platforms?
Absolutely. We rely on feedback from our employees and client partners out in the field as technology platforms advance, become more prevalent in the market. We've learned a lot along the way about what technology platform offerings, are crucial to retaining staff and ensuring ease of use for our clients as well. These important features are what led us to time save most recently. I feel that we're set up for success as we see events and hospitality sector businesses returning to a sense of normalcy with the time save platform at the helm of our technology offerings. From a scheduling and timekeeping perspective, I think we're in a really good place right now.
Awesome. Any parting remarks that you guys would like to leave your listeners with?
Yeah, I mean, all indications are that, the hospitality and event sectors are, all set up to boom again in 2022 and beyond. I don't think there's any, chance of that not being the case. So, we anticipate a quick ramp up period with the pandemic statistics continuing to move in the right direction. Imperative that we're proactive as opposed to reactive to the reopening of the industry. Technology needs to be at the forefront, and it's the key to success in this era of staffing in all markets, as you well know. And I think the investment that Headway has made in our partnership with TimeSave is going to set us up to capitalize on successful staffing operations for our clients and employees, working across the country. Having technology platforms that are constantly evolving to provide better service offerings for the individuals that have to use this on a daily basis is what we believe is the key to success for the organization as a whole.
Love that answer. Before we take off, I wanted to talk that we're super excited to have John, the COO of Headway, join our CEO, Rohan, for an ideas and action session at Exec Forum. We'll be diving into the topic, what's happening with platform tech in the industry, why COVID accelerated such a rapid transformation, and how agencies from any sector or vertical in staffing can use it to their advantage. So that's really excited for both of us, both of our sides. You two, it's been lovely chatting as always. We spend a lot of time together. It's always a great talk, but thank you guys so much for joining me on this.
Thanks, Brooke. Thanks for having us. It's been a great time.